The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon and welcome back. My name is Sophie Hansen and these are your news updates to 1:30. The Regional District of East Kootenay says a wildfire near the community of Baines Lake in southern-eastern BC has prompted an evacuation order for 14 properties and alert for 38 others. The BC Wildfire Service says the fire was discovered yesterday and is about 4 hectares in size. It's currently burning out of control. The service says the fire is believed to have been human-caused, and it's among about 220 blazes burning across the province. However, the fire behavior is expected to decrease as rain, wind, and cooler temperatures set in later this week. Long-awaited questions about 7 killed newborns are finally being answered. A Britain hospital where a nurse was convicted of murdering 7 babies and trying to kill 7 others is facing an inquiry into how so many newborns were harmed. Charles de Ledesma of the Associated Press has more on the review.
The probe at the Countess of Chester Hospital begins Tuesday against a push by supporters of Letby for a legal review of the evidence used against her. But the inquiry being held in Liverpool won't be reviewing this, instead looking at what failures led babies to be repeatedly harmed, how complaints by staff were managed and how parents were treated. Letby, who's 34, was convicted in 2023 of the murder of 7 infants and attempted murder of 6 others, including 2 attempts on 1 child. Charles de Ledesma, London.
The outcome of the investigation will also explore concerns with the National Health Service. The U.S. and Britain have accused Iran of supplying short-range ballistic missiles to Russia to use in the war in Ukraine, and say they will take measures to punish those involved. U.S. National Security spokesman John Kirby says the missiles Iran is sending have a clear destination.
These are close-range ballistic missiles, again, with a range of about 75 miles, so they don't have a huge range. And we fully expect that Putin will use them, again, inside Ukraine.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Iran has ignored warnings that the transfer of such weapons would be a profound escalation of the conflict. Starbucks' new chairman and CEO says he plans to focus on improving service and reestablishing the struggling coffee stores as gathering places. In an open letter posted on the company's website today, Brian Nichols said he found in conversations with employees and customers that there is a, quote, shared sense that we have drifted from our core. Starbucks sales have fallen this year due to the weaker U.S. store traffic and other issues, including rising competition in China and international boycotts. Nichols says improving the store experience for both baristas and customers will help turn that around. In Vancouver, handy dart workers walked off the job last week to fight for a fair contract. Reporter Alessio Cusano has more on what's to be expected during the strike.
Handy Dart Transit is a door-to-door transit service for those with a physical or cognitive disability that prevents them from riding a fixed route. Earlier this month, about 600 employees have been on strike as a result of workers not making as much as those with similar roles around Canada. Transit Canada's 19.2% pay increase by January 2026 was rejected by workers prior to the strike. As a result, this leaves regular handy dart workers having to ride public transit or stay at home. Many rallies have occurred and will continue to happen across Metro Vancouver in the coming days. Alessio Cusano, BCIT's The Crow.
Transdev will respond to demands later this week. Montreal's opposition leader is criticizing Mayor Valérie Plante for restricting access to her social media accounts. Arif Salem says Plante and her party project, Montreal, are limiting Montrealers' freedom of expression by blocking comments on social media platforms like X and Instagram. Salem says there's no point in politicians being on social media if they limit their interactions with constituents. His party, Ensemble Montreal, says there are other ways to reduce online harassment. Some local weather. Burnaby is a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 20 and low of 14. These have been your afternoon news updates to 1:30. Sophie Hansen, BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon. I'm Nicholas Hauka with your sports update to 1:40. We'll start in football news. The NFL said it's investigating the latest civil lawsuit filed against Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson to determine if he violated the league's personal conduct policy. On Monday, a woman in Texas accused Watson of sexual assault in 2020 while he played for Houston. League spokesperson Brian McCarthy said the league is reviewing the complaint. In the lawsuit, the woman alleges Watson forced himself on her sexually during an incident at her apartment. Watson was suspended 11 games by the league in 2022 after more than 24 women accused him of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct during massage therapy sessions. The Browns traded 5 draft picks for the 3-time Pro Bowler in 2022. Tyreek Hill's detainment from this weekend continues to spark debate online. Body camera video release showed police officers dragged the wide receiver out of his sports car and forced him face first onto the ground during a traffic stop. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says he's relieved that Hill had support.
You hope that teammates understand that we are extended family, so it was. I was very happy that a guy in a situation like that didn't feel alone.
NFL players are blaming football field conditions as they could be seen slipping and stumbling through the NFL's opening weekend. The first game played in Latin America was marred by players slipping on the soccer pitch. It wasn't just the outdoor games that featured slippery fields. In Detroit, players blamed all the falling down on reacclimating to the artificial field turf. In college football news, former Michigan stars Denard Robinson and Braylon Edwards are suing the NCAA and Big Ten Network. They claim they lost out on millions of dollars during their college careers because the NCAA's now lifted ban on athletics being compensated for their name, image, and likeness. The federal class action antitrust lawsuit was filed in the Eastern District of Michigan on behalf of all Michigan football players who played before 2016. The NCAA and major college conferences are in the process of trying to settle antitrust lawsuits related to the athlete NIL compensation. Heading to the racetrack, Formula One's most influential car designer, Andrew Newey, is switching lanes and joining Aston Martin in March 2025 after leaving Red Bull. Newey has spent nearly 2 decades with Red Bull and is widely credited with putting the team on its path to dominance in F1. Now Newey joins a team that has big ambitions to challenge for the title that has the backing of billionaire Lawrence Stroll. Newey will arrive in the new role as managing technical partner in time to help shape how Aston Martin responds to the new F1 car regulations coming for 2026. To the basketball court, the NBA has expanded coaches' challenge reviews on some out-of-bounds plays, saying Tuesday that if a foul should have been called on the play, it now can be assessed shortly after the fact. The league's Board of Governors approved the move and its meeting in New York after it was unanimously recommended by the league's competition committee last week. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver was scheduled to speak about the meeting later Tuesday. The change will take effect this season. In lacrosse news, the Victoria Shamrocks have won their appeal according to the Western Lacrosse Association and a press release. The team was appealing the pickup player policy, which allows the Shamrocks to add players from opposing teams in their league to their roster for their Mann Cup Finals matchups. As the Shamrocks were in the air to Toronto, the Lacrosse Canada Board conducted a vote revoking the policy previously passed by 10 of 11 member associations according to the WLA. By winning the appeal, the Shamrocks will now be able to add New Westminster Salmon Bellies players Will Malcolm and Mike Messenger. U.S. President Joe Biden is hosting celebrations at the White House for the 2024 National College Basketball Champions South Carolina Gamecocks and Connecticut Huskies. He praised the record-breaking viewership of the Women's Championship and the impact the sport had on young girls. That was your sports update to 140. I don't want to walk out that door, that ain't no lie, but it's time for me to say bye. I'm Nicholas Hauka. Thank you for listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.